Hello folks, Alex here. This is Alex Unabridged, and today it's time to go through another bit of a book haul. So welcome back to the channel if that is the case. Yes, another edition of recent acquisitions for you today. This is all the stuff that I've acquired in the last month, basically. I've been getting lots of bits and pieces on Kindle, so there's a lot of ebooks on this. There are some physical books and some audiobooks as well. This is all the stuff that isn't for Garb August. All of my Garb August stuff will come in my pile of possibilities video that will come probably the back end of next week. So let's start off with the physical books then. First up, I picked up a copy of Heartstopper Volume 2. I mentioned this in my Adventures in Genre video the other day because I read Heartstopper Volume 1 for June's Adventures in Genre and loved it, absolutely loved it. So I immediately went and bought Volume 2. So I'm excited to continue on with the series. Then in the same sort of haul on that, I used World of Books and they've got a fantastic offer on, generally I think it's always on, which is for books under a £5, you buy 3 get a 4th free. So I picked up a few in that, and another one that I got in that was Night Flyers by George R.R. Martin, and this has been on my list for a while and is going to be on my Adventures in Genre list in September, which is for sci-fi, because I'm fascinated by George R.R. Martin's writing. I didn't get on with Game of Thrones, but I think that's because of its fantasy, you know, and it's sort of dark fantasy as well in that respect. It just isn't my kind of thing, basically. I didn't really get on with the TV series either. So I thought I would give some of his sci-fi a go. So this is short stories, I believe. So yes, so this will be one of the ones for September's TBR for Adventures in Genre. And then finally, the other one that I picked up was one for this month's Adventures in Genre, which was Frozen Charlotte by Alex Bell, because I'm doing Junior Jeepers Creepers, so middle grade and YA horror this month. And I actually started this last night. I read a couple of hours, read for a couple of hours, about 120 pages into it, so I'm about a third of the way through. Flipping out, this is creepy. I'd stop reading it. When my wife went to bed, I was like, do you know what? I don't want to read this when I'm down here on my own. Yeah. Not a kid's book, definitely not a kid's book, but certainly young adult readers and sort of, I guess, like early teens. I mean, my niece has read it and loves it, which is why I picked it up. She's read it several times and she's 12. But I'm like, flipping heck, this is creepy. Maybe it's just me and like dolls. Creepy dolls, but yeah, really good, but flipping heck. Yeah, can't read that late at night. So yes, so those are the 3 physical books. Everything else is digital. Everything else is ebooks or audiobooks. So let's move on to the ebooks then. First up, we've got The Mountain in the Sea by Ray Naylor, and the blurb for this reads, when pioneering marine biologist Dr. Ha Nguyen, I presume that's how you pronounce it, is offered the chance to travel to the remote Kondau archipelago to investigate a highly intelligent, dangerous octopus species, she doesn't pause long enough to look at the fine print. Dyanima, a transnational tech corporation best known for its groundbreaking work in artificial intelligence, has purchased the islands, evacuated their population, and sealed off the archipelago from the world so that Nguyen can focus on her research. But the stakes are high. The octopuses hold the key to unprecedented breakthroughs in extra-human intelligence, and there are vast fortunes to be made by whoever can take advantage of their advancements. And no one has yet asked the octopuses what they think, and what they might do about it. I really like the cover of this. I like the cover art. There's quite a lot of books with this sort of cover art. You know, there's this very bright colours out there at the moment, but I do like it. And yeah, super intelligent octopuses. Okay. So yeah, I thought I'd give that a crack. That was a Kindle Daily Deal, I believe. Next up, speaking of bright colours, I've got Death of a Bookseller by Alice Slater, which I know has been kind of all over BookTube. I assume probably all over TikTok as well. I don't know, I'm not on TikTok. But I like the sound of this. It's and I thought it's one that I would give a go. And again, it was a Kindle Daily Deal. And the blurb for this is Roach is a bookseller, a loner, and a true crime fanatic, and is not interested in making friends. She has all the company she needs in her serial killer books, murder podcasts, and her pet snail Bleep. That is, until Laura joins the bookshop. With her cute literary tote bags and sunny smile, she's everyone's favourite bookseller. But beneath the shiny veneer, Roach senses a darkness within Laura, the same darkness that Roach possesses. As curiosity blooms into morbid obsession, Roach becomes determined to be part of Laura's story, whether Laura wants her in it or not. I've seen mixed reviews of this. I quite like the premise. You know, I quite like the idea of it. Whether it's my cup of tea or not, I really don't know. But I'm getting a bit more adventurous, should we say, in trying stuff that ordinarily I would have just gone, nah, not for me. This is one that fits into that category, I think. So we will see what I make of it. Next up, we've got some non-fiction, which is Where Nightmares Come From, The Art of Storytelling in the Horror Genre by Clive Barker and others, lots of others. This is, as it sounds, it focuses on the art of storytelling for horror, for writing horror. So taking, you know, an idea from conception through to reality, whether it's, you know, short stories, novels, films, or even comics and graphic novels. It's got articles in it and interviews in it by people like, say, Clive Barker, John Connolly, Ramsey Campbell, Stephen King, Charlene Harris, Jonathan Maybury, Joe R. Lansdale. There's an absolute ton of stuff in here. And it looked really interesting, and I'm trying to write some horror, and so I thought, you know, it's probably a good idea to have something that I can kind of just dip in and out of and read around, you know, read some ideas and thoughts and philosophies and all that kind of stuff, tips and tricks, all that kind of stuff from some of the real kind of greats of horror. So hopefully that will help me. Okay, next up is A Sincere Warning About the Entity in Your Home by Jason Arnott. I've seen this one mentioned a couple of times on BookTube, probably over the last sort of year or so. And it's a short story, but it's presented as an anonymous letter to you, the reader, which has been sent to your address by the previous tenant. And as you read it, you learn that you've inherited a curse and that you're being preyed upon by a terrifying apparition born of a past atrocity. And the previous tenant describes the unthinkable ordeal that they suffered before you move in, and one that you will now have to face yourself. This one I'm a little nervous of, because if the idea of this is executed well, this could scare the crap out of me. And what I like about this actually is that it says in the description, because obviously this is the Kindle edition, is that there is a physical kind of deluxe edition, if you like, available, which is done as an actual letter that you can have sent to you or to someone else. You know, with, you know, personalised basically, you know, so with their name on it and stuff. So if this is any good, I do have a friend who I think would appreciate this. So I may be sending this to someone in the future if it's any good. Next up is Seven Sins, a thrilling horror novel, apparently, by Miguel Estrada. This was a freebie. The blurb for which says, several individuals connected through a series of unfortunate events find themselves as participants in a twisted game of trials set up by a hacker who has chosen them based on their cardinal sins. This group of misfits will do anything in their power to survive and return any semblance of normality to their lives, even if it means destroying each other. Again, I just like the premise. It was a freebie. I want to try some kind of indie horror, if you like, or indie books in general, self-published stuff. And so, yeah, thought give that one a go. Next up is Doomsday Match, which is the first book in the Dresden Codex series by Jeff Wheeler. This is one of those which was a if you're a Prime member, you get to pick a book for free, an upcoming release for free from a selection of books before they're kind of out for sort of general release. And this was the one I picked last month. And this is about a vacationing family who become pawns in an ancient ritual designed to bring about the apocalypse. It's about a guy called Jonathan Roth and his family and their neighbours who get invited to a luxury retreat in Cozumel. How can they refuse that? And it sounds too good to be true. And so, of course, it is. And yeah, they end up sucked into this sort of series of trials, games, etc., and used as pawns to, say, bring about the apocalypse. So they need to call upon ancient powers if they're going to survive and escape and save the world. So yeah, I like the sound of this bit of action adventure, a bit of sort of mystery, sort of Mayan influence, that kind of thing. So yeah, sounds like fun, basically. So I thought I would give that one a go. Next up is another Kindle Daily Deal that I saw, which is The Anomaly by Hervé Letellier, translated by Adriana Hunter. This is one that I saw ages ago, and I've had on my Audible wish list actually for a while. But seeing as I saw it cheap on Kindle, I thought I'd get it on there. And the description of this is, during a terrifying storm, Air France Flight 006 inexplicably duplicates. For every passenger, there are now two, a double with the same mind, body and memories. Only one thing sets them apart. While one plane lands in March, the other doesn't arrive until June. Nothing can explain this unprecedented event, but for each duplicated passenger, an impossible moment of reckoning awaits. If there are two of you and just one life, who gets to live it? And I really like the sound of the concepts of that. That's, doppelgangers, essentially. And this sort of, this idea of, who does get to live that life if there are two of you who are exactly the same. So yeah, I was really, pleased to see that pop up actually as a daily deal. And that was an immediate buy. Next up, we've got one that's been on my list for ages, and that is The Troop by Nick Cutter. If you don't know what this one is about, this is the blurb. For the scouts of Troop 52, 3 days of camping, hiking and survival lessons on Falstaff Island is as close as they'll get to a proper holiday. But when an emaciated figure stumbles into their camp asking for food, the trip takes a horrifying turn. The man is not just hungry, he's sick in a way that they've never seen before. Cut off from the mainland, the troop face a terror far worse than anything they could have made up around a campfire. To survive, they will have to fight their fears, the elements, and eventually each other. I've heard a lot about this one. I've heard a lot of good things about this one, but I've also heard a lot of things that make me rather nervous of it. I think animal cruelty, torture, that kind of thing is one of them, and there's some other stuff in there. I think potentially this is going to be quite a difficult read for me, but yeah, this one I bought because this one is on a list for a project that I'm going to be doing in October, where I read stuff that I am somewhat scared to read, the stuff that's been on my list for a long time that I haven't read because I'm a little bit little bit scared to read it. So yes, I will be facing my fears in October, and The Troop will be one of those. Next up is The Martian by Andy Weir. I loved Project Hail Mary. I've got Artemis on audiobook ready and waiting to be read. And The Martian is another one that I haven't read, and so that might go into the sci-fi in September kind of list. But I got it because I know I want to read it at some point. So have it there in the library for whenever I fancy it if I don't get to it in September. Then we've got The Hanging City by Charlie N. Holmberg. This was another of the sort of the Prime early access books that I got for free this month. That's just come out basically. This is the blurb for this is: for a young woman who wields the power of fear, humanity's greatest enemy is her only hope in a new romantic adventure-filled fantasy. I just thought this sounded like it could be something that the sort of thing that I really don't like. But it could be charming, it could be exciting, it could be interesting. The humanity's greatest enemy that they're talking about are trolls, apparently. So it's kind of troll fantasy adventure romance. So we'll see. Is all I can say for that one. The other one that I got this month in this early access deal is Batu and the Search for the Golden Cup. I'm not going to try and pronounce one of the authors' names because I will absolutely butcher it. Zira, it'll be up on screen, Lilia Klaus, and it's translated by Shelley Fairweather Vega. And this is a middle grade fantasy based around myths and traditional tales from Kazakhstan. So I'm guessing it's kind of sort of a little bit, if you think sort of, I guess, Rick Riordan stuff, Percy Jackson, it's, which I've not read, but I am interested in reading. But I just really like the sound of this and the fact that it's myths from an area of the world that I have absolutely no clue about. And it's translated as well, and it's middle grade. I thought, yeah, that sounds really interesting. Let's give that a go and see what this is all about. Okay, next up is Rookwood Asylum by David Longhorn. This was another freebie. The blurb for this is American history lecturer Paul Mahan was looking for a little peace and quiet, a place to recover from his personal demons and pursue his academic career. But when he moves into the newly refurbished Rookwood apartments, he soon finds himself trapped in a living nightmare. A series of terrifying events force Paul to question his sanity. Strange messages scribble themselves across the walls. His beautiful neighbour seems to vanish without a trace, and a deadly accident tears away the veil from Rookwood's dark past. As these violent incidents escalate, residents call in a paranormal expert, hoping to end the strange accidents once and for all. But only Paul understands the chilling truth. The pain and torture of Rookwood's blood-soaked past can no longer be contained, and a terror beyond anything they've ever experienced is about to be unleashed. Asylums and sort of old asylums are quite, they're quite a creepy concept, I think. So yeah, we'll see how scary that is. Next up, we've got 314 or 314 by A.R. Wise, another freebie. I think potentially another self-published horror book. This says, Alma Harper has been trying to forget what happened in Widowsfield 16 years ago. She has a good life as a music teacher now and might rekindle her relationship with her one true love. However, the number 314 haunts her and threatens to bring her back to the day that her brother disappeared. When a reporter shows up just days before March 14th, Alma realises that her past is coming back to haunt her. What happened on March 14th at 3:14, 16 years ago? No one but the skeleton man can remember. It also says here, warning, this book contains graphic content that may be objectionable to some readers. So I'm not sure how extreme this will be. So we'll find out. But again, another one that it intrigued me. So as I say, I'm trying to just, read some stuff that I've absolutely never heard of, potentially, indie stuff, and see if I can find some gems amongst the stuff that ordinarily probably wouldn't cross my path. And the last of the ebooks is a classic, really, and that is Gormenghast, the illustrated trilogy by Mervyn Peake. So Gormenghast is the vast crumbling castle to which the 77th Earl Titus Groan is lord and heir. And Titus is expected to rule this gothic labyrinth of turrets and dungeons and his eccentric subjects according to very strict age-old rituals. But the castle is changing. Titus has got to contend with treachery, manipulation and murder, as well as his own longing for a life beyond the castle walls. I've been sort of very, very intrigued by the premise of Gormenghast for a long time, but it's a daunting text to me. I'm not scared of it, but it's daunting in terms of its length, in terms of its language. It's, as I say, the kind of the world, the setting, the idea really, really intrigues me. But I've never kind of taken the plunge with it. And so I consulted a trusted friend who I thought probably would have read it, and he has, and basically said, buy it now if it's on sale. So I did. So yes, we will see how I get on with it. I think what I'll do with this one is read it. Probably won't start it until the beginning of 2024, and I will try and read a very, very small amount of it every day, and try and just get through it in really bite-sized pieces. Not try and overface myself by going, right, I'm reading this month, and then feel like I've got to kind of slog my way through it, but just take my time with it and just, relax into it a little bit rather than like build it up into something that I've got to get through quickly. So fingers crossed I will make it through that, because, as I say, I'm very, very intrigued by the concept, setting, etc. So on to the last few bits, which is audiobooks, of which there are 3. These were all bought in 2-for-1 sales. So we've got the first one, which is Nevermore, The Trials of Morrigan Crow, book 1 by Jessica Townsend. The blurb for this is, Morrigan Crow is cursed. Having been born on eventide, the unluckiest day for any child to be born, she's blamed for all local misfortunes, from hailstorms to heart attacks. And worst of all, the curse means that Morrigan is doomed to die at midnight on her 11th birthday. But as Morrigan awaits her fate, a strange and remarkable man named Jupiter North appears. Chased by black smokehounds and shadowy hunters on horseback, he whisks her away into the safety of a secret magical city called Nevermore. And then it's a book of sort of, I think Morrigan sort of finding her place there, having to go through trials while she's there to be able to remain there. It's one that I've seen pop up quite a bit on BookTube, amongst some booktubers that tend to focus a bit more on middle grade work. And when I first heard about it, I thought, oh, that sounds really good. So, and as I say, it gets good reviews, and it sounds like the sort of book I'd quite like to have as an audio book. To be told the story. Kids' books work really well, I think, like that. So we'll give that one a crack. Next up, something completely different. The Only Good Indians by Stephen Graham Jones. A bit of horror. I keep hearing really good things about Stephen Graham Jones. He's been on my list for a while. So this one, the blurb for this one is, 10 years ago, 4 young men shot some elk and then went on with their lives. It happens every year. It's been happening forever. It's the way it's always been, but this time it's different. 10 years after that fateful hunt, these men are being stalked themselves. Soaked with a powerful Gothic atmosphere, the endless expanses of the landscape press down on these men and on their children as the ferocious spirit comes for them one at a time. Yeah, as I say, I hear cracking things about all of Stephen Graham Jones' books, but this one particularly interested me. I think because of the Native American kind of element to it, with Stephen Graham Jones being Native American himself. So yeah, very, very interested to read that. And the last one, which is another one that might go into the sci-fi for my sci-fi list for my Adventures in Genre in September, is Sea of Tranquility by Emily St. John Mandel, which I think I saw for the first time mentioned on Willow's channel, Books and Bao. So check out Willow's channel if you don't know her stuff already. She is often responsible for ballooning my wish list with things that sound great. So yes, but yeah, this was one that I saw on her channel, and this says lives separated by time and space have collided, and an exiled Englishman, a writer trapped far from home, and a girl destined to die too young have each glimpsed a world that is not their own. Travelling through the centuries between colonies on the moon and an ever-changing Earth, together their lives will solve a mystery that will make you question everything you thought you knew to be true. Yeah, just sort of timey-wimey. I always like that kind of stuff. And yeah, it sounds really intriguing again. I don't know much about it other than that. And that's kind of, sci-fi, I think. I quite like that. I quite like the intrigue of sci-fi, particularly. Just the kind of a concept and knowing very little else about it. So we'll see what I make of that. As I say, that may well go on my list for Sci-Fi September. So those are all the things that I have acquired. Well, apart from the Garb August stuff, which as I say will come later. But those are all the non-trashy things generally. Some of those indie books might turn out to be trashy. I don't know. But trashy's good. So I honestly don't mind. There's plenty of variety on this list. So yes. Do let me know if you've read any of the stuff that I've got waiting in the wings for future TBRs, and if you liked them or not, and let me know what you've been buying recently as well. What have you been acquiring, and I'm excited to read soon. But I will leave it there for today, folks. Thank you very much for watching. As always, if you enjoyed this video, please do consider giving me a like and subscribing for more content coming very soon. But from me, for now, that's ta-ra.